Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. And I'm just, doing astrology like usual, learning more and more about it. It's just such a complex topic that there's a never ending of it's like never ending learning. So, but I love it. That's what I love the most. I love like where something is so expansive that it feels like it's a constant learning experience. But I wanted to record some of this because I'm actually diving into the USA's natal chart and the transits that are coming up, what it could mean for the US when for example, Saturn goes into Aries and then Neptune. So both Saturn and Neptune are changing into the sign of Aries, which is in the natal chart, the US chart's fourth house. I believe that's where Chiron is right now, actually, because we've had Chiron, the wounded healer, in the sign of Aries in the fourth house. Fourth house represents the home, right? So I always like think about our homeland, our security, our family, the motherland. But then we also have part of Pisces in there as well. I use the Placidus chart. I don't use whole sign chart because it doesn't give you like degrees. If you go off of Placidus, it's more accurate with the degrees. If you want to like find more like predictions of things. So let's see. Yeah, Saturn Neptune cycle beginning at 0 degrees Aries will be a major turning point, and it's going to be a reset for the entire world, not just the US. All world governments will have something dissolving or being brought down, but some might expand as Neptune gives both of those capabilities. That's the interesting thing about it. So then we look at the sign of Aries, right? The sign of Aries represents the god of war. So warfare could be very much involved in this. I would hope not, but there's a high chance of that. Saturn represents governments as well. So it's like, are we going to war with the government? I mean, we already kind of are. The people are getting more and more restless and annoyed with all the shit that's been happening. And more truths have been coming out over the entirety of Pluto and Capricorn. It's kind of like the thing about the US is that the Pluto cycle is still going on because we have Pluto in Capricorn. That's our Pluto return, but we also have Aquarius in the same house. So our second house is with Capricorn and Aquarius in there. It's like split in half using Placidus, of course. And so just because it moved into Aquarius, we're still going through that return in a way. So let's see. Yeah, there's that conjunction that will happen in the fourth house of family, values possibly shifting, home security shifting when that happens. And then, yeah, there's a square to Venus and Jupiter in Cancer. Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's going to happen. Like it's going to be a square to Venus because the United States, Venus is in the sign of Cancer, and we also have Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. So it brings a lot of luck and abundance. And I believe that the United States has Cancer in the 8th house. We have Cancer and Leo in the 8th house of the US chart. Yeah. Jupiter there. So Jupiter in the 8th house, which has been great for financial abundance and all that. But then we have Pluto that's in our second house, which that pairing to me, honestly, it's like inheritance and gains through the eighth. But what do we have to give away in our foundations, our material security, which is the second house? And that can be shown in all of these money laundering schemes and things that have been happening for years. It shows very clearly all of that. So when the square happens, it's aspecting also the seventh house, which is of partnerships. So Cancer is also in the seventh house as well, with Gemini in the beginnings of it. That could mean a challenge between homeland needs and alliance needs, because of partnerships means our alliances, our business deals. Can there be, is it possible that we can still be charitable to our allies that are suffering cross seas, but then also simultaneously meeting demands at home? Like, we'd have to be able to learn, like, how is it that we are trying to take care of other countries, yet we're not even really taking care of ourselves? It's going to bring that awareness there. It has been bringing that awareness there, though, as well. I mean, that is the challenge there. It's like we need to stop getting involved in other places and start focusing on taking care of ourselves. Otherwise, a sinking ship can't help other ships from sinking. So that's kind of how I see it. What else? The transit, when Aries goes into, or when Neptune and Saturn go into Aries, it's going to trine the North Node in the US chart. The North Node is placed in the 8th house of the US chart in the sign of Leo. That's interesting. That is interesting. It's going to be about how do we exert our collective resources with pride. Financial reserve challenged. You know how I see that playing out? That's a very tricky North Node placement. I would know because my North Node is in my 8th house, but my 8th house is Pisces. But I'll tell you one thing, it's all about transforming. That's for sure. Transforming, death, and rebirth. So going back to the day of the inauguration, though, that's on the 20th, basing it using the United States birth chart information here, which is July 4th, 1776, 1650 military time, 4:50 p.m. We do have, and I'm making the transit, considering the birth chart info, and then making the location on Washington, D.C. Transit info I have right now is that there's going to be the natal houses affected 2nd and 9th, 10th to 8th, 2nd, 7th, and 10th. Hold on, my eyes are freaking bothering the shit out of me. Okay, so I'm just going to look at the long-term transits that will be most effective on the collective US chart here. So we have Saturn transiting the 3rd. This transit is actually occurring in the natal house, which is ruled, that is ruled by this transit planet. Yeah. So, see, you will find it hard to maintain optimism during this transit. If you are inclined to depressions, you may have a problem with them now. You may, or your way of communicating with others will change. It will become more serious. You will still want to make new acquaintances, but you will perceive small talk as a waste of time and focus mainly on effective communication. You will tend to analyze in depth all the information you get and filter out what seems irrelevant to you. You will probably have to work hard to structure your time and with pressure to come up with ideas that work well. There may also be problems with neighbors, siblings, or technology. Yes, because the third house is of technology. It's the house of Gemini, communication, transportation as well, actually. So I wonder, hmm, Saturn, looking at the chart again. Yeah, and then with our ninth house, see, that correlates together. So Saturn and Pisces being in the third house affects the transportation. And it also affects communication portals. Since it is the last year of Saturn being in Pisces, and then it's going to go into Aries, it will definitely manifest differently, but I wonder if it's because there's been this suppression of certain outlets and there, I mean, you have to admit there's been suppression of speech in some areas and avenues, and they're actually coming out and mentioning this now, where the media has been very censored and what they would put out and only letting out what they want people to hear. Some people would catch on to it and then find their own resources to find more truths about things versus just being fed like stuff that the higher ups want us to hear. It also suppresses like the learning in some way because it's in the house of learning. It slows those things down. With the ninth house being opposite here, we have natally, US has Neptune in Virgo in the ninth house and Lilith in Leo as well in the ninth house. Saturn is in the house that's opposing the ninth. So that to me also speaks of the supply chain issues that have been happening where it's like we don't get the goods. There's been some stagnating in the supply chain and being able to get I can't even find the words today. I don't know why. My brain's not working right. But what I mean is that ninth house is of long distance travels. It also represents our education as well. So there's just been some restriction there, right? It's going to restrict those areas. Yeah. Anyways, I was just looking for the connection to it. So that's in the second house. Or third house. I'm sorry, not second house. Third house. Brain fart. Then the other long-term transit that we are going to be feeling is having Uranus go through the sixth house. So these are not necessarily signs that we are going off of. We're going off of planets, long-term planets that transit or take a while to transit through a particular house in the chart. And because we're going off of Placidus, we are combining two signs in pretty much each house, because it's not so simple like just a sign for each house. It's literally split. Uranus being in the 6th house has brought a lot of unexpected changes for us, though. And I don't even need to read this to know what it's going to say. Let's just put it this way. You know how the whole COVID-19 started in end of 2019? We started to see, we saw Taurus go into Uranus around 2018. That's within the 6th house of the US natal chart. And throughout that process, 6th house represents our health systems, our physical body, our routines, like all our daily routines and all that stuff, right? So having Uranus there, it's the sudden changes, sudden beginnings, sudden endings, something crazy chaotic happens and just completely throws the world upside down. And that's exactly what happened within the whole time of Uranus going through our 6th house, right? Our lives completely changed. And it was almost like we went into an alternate universe. Like nothing looked the same, everybody was acting differently, and just the energy was, and it's still kind of in that, but it's not as, I wouldn't say it's as bad, because I think over time, with also the Pluto return happening in the US with Pluto and Capricorn, those last degrees brought a lot of things to light as well, especially when it changed into the sign of Aquarius, because Aquarius is representing humanity, where Capricorn, I almost said Capricorn. When it was in Capricorn, it represents like establishments. Capricorn rules over Saturn, which is the disciplinary, the authoritarian. So all those things kind of just came down and are still coming down slowly but surely. So having Uranus go through the 6th house brought up all the health issues, the problems, and lost jobs, working from home, all those things. And then it brought about a lot of chaos in the financial markets, because this is also, if you look at, it's the 6th house. Yes, we have Taurus in our 6th house, Uranus going through there, but Taurus originally rules the 2nd house. Having Pluto return in Capricorn, that is situated in our 2nd house, and we still have Pluto going through there for a while before it gets out. But it's like our health and routines, while our stability and our material wealth and all that just completely dismantles, right? Well, we also have a retrograde Pluto. Yeah, in the birth chart of the United States, it's Pluto in retrograde. That's interesting. Let's see. I'm going to read the other ones here, and I don't want to make this a long video either. So, but just I wanted to kind of go over this a little bit because I found it very interesting, and I want to see, because we have inauguration coming up. So, transit Neptune in the 4th house. So, Neptune in the 4th house brings problems for the family life, relationships with relatives. Some people can see things through rose-colored glasses. It will prevent them from objectively assessing reality and relationships. Be careful, as this approach can cause problems. Loved ones, especially partners or partnerships, may be frustrated, unwilling to commit or take on responsibilities. People may be tired, their bodies may require more sleep than usual. But the positive expression of this aspect is that people will start to develop a richer inner life within them and have a chance to reach spiritual awareness. I definitely see how that has been shaping so much more. Like that has been playing out ever since Neptune has been in Pisces. And I believe it was back in 2012 when Neptune transited into the sign of Pisces. That's when it kind of started that progression, right? But then at the same time, it's true. A lot of people lost their grips with reality. And I mean, I'm sure this isn't just for the US, but because every country has its own personal chart, this is my belief. I think that if we are to believe in frequencies and things that we can't see, the speed of light, sound waves, all these things, if we have beliefs in that and then radiation as well, you can't see it, right? But it's affecting you. Then why can't transits and planetary, shifts and changes have an effect? How come it's not possible that could affect too, and that it could be different in different parts of the world? So that's how I look at it. Not absolute, but I'm just saying the more potent energies are prominent in certain areas. So now looking at the last long-term one, which is having Pluto transiting through the United States' second house. This transit, having Pluto in the seventh or second house, it's like a constant reminder of needing to efficiently manage financial resources. First thing that comes to my mind is the debt, right? The deficit, right? It's insane. And it's a constant blaring reminder. I mean, you see there's like a clock that you can see how much the United States is in debt and how much more it goes into debt. Anyways, you will evaluate what you need in your life to feel secure. If there are things that do not serve you materially, it is good to get rid of them now before it is too late, especially if you're walking on thin ice and cheating on taxes or sending money overseas and making poor people have to basically work to the bone and not have anything for themselves because they're just working themselves to the bone to prop up people that are greedy, power hungry, and do evil things. So, yeah, you can tell I don't like them. Trust me, I'm being nice when I say it in that way, because if I really wanted to tell you how I feel about people like that, you'd probably be scared of me. If Pluto forms an opposition or a square with personal planets, there's a great chance for monetary and material loss. You will also have to review your values. And that's exactly what's been happening for sure. Everyone. Reevaluation of everything. There's a lot of changes coming up here. Another thing too, having Uranus go through the 6th. I mean, we're also starting to see, because of all this crazy shit that's been happening, and people losing their minds, mental health is just going out the door. Big pharma ruling everything and taking over. And then we just find out all the ugly truths about what is really happening. There are some good things that are happening too. I think that finally they finally are getting the ball rolling on artificial dyes, even though it's just with one. It's the red 40, I believe, that they're banning, effective in 2027. So they can give the corporations some time to change or whatever. But I just wish that they would cut it now. But, that's, I guess, not realistic. But I feel, why not do all the artificial dyes? Why just do the red dye? Because all of them are bad. But at least it's a starting point, right? So there are some good aspects as well of those happenings, because Uranus also is it's the disruptor. Uranus is known as the disruptor. And Uranus is also a freedom fighter. Uranus's modern ruler is Aquarius. Aquarius does stand for the freedom fighter, the humanitarian, the one that wants to evolve, and the liberator. So even though it causes destruction and sudden changes, those are necessary changes for growth and to find more freedom. and happiness, over time. You just restructure things that were not healthy for you to begin with. But as far as that actual day goes, the day of, let me look at the, it looks like there's positive applications for that day. I look at anything that's less than 3 orbs because a 3 orb degree, because usually the wide ones don't really affect as much. So you want to look at the more potent aspects that could be disruptive or helpful. So we do have a Uranus trine Neptune. That's not bad. Uranus sextile Mercury. That's not bad either. Uranus trine Neptune. Where is birth planet? Hold on. I'm going to look at this stuff really quick. All right. So Uranus trine Neptune in the United States 9th house. Neptune is, the transit Neptune is actually, or transit Uranus is in the 6th house, like we were talking about, trining US Neptune in Virgo in the 9th. And that aspect says you will reflect on the meaning of your existence and your place in the world. If you are interested in spirituality and mystical sciences, this transit will be especially beneficial to you. If you have not been interested in these topics, you may change your mind now. You may travel to exotic places during this transit. Beware of the desire to experiment with drugs. Yeah, because Neptune's associated with drugs and stuff, and Uranus as well, when you combine them. Hopefully, we don't have some collective drugging happening. Because, I've seen some stuff about some mysterious fog. Okay. I have seen some stuff about that lately. So, who knows about that? But that's one of the aspects. And then we have, okay, we've got Mars conjunct Mercury. So the birth charts, Mercury placement is in the 8th house. Yeah, so we got, wait, no, hold on. Yep. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So Mars is conjuncting Mercury around that time. It's like, it's applying less than 0 degrees. And that's in the 8th house. All right, I'm going to look that up really quick because anything to do with Mars, you got to be extra careful with. He does represent the god of war, so Mars conjuncting Mercury in the 8th house, no less. Yeah. Transit Mars retrograde in Cancer, conjuncting the United States Mercury in Cancer. It's and the 8th house, like I said. You may meet a lot of irritated people, especially if you work with them. Or it may be you who will be irritable and impulsive. Be particularly careful when driving because you are prone to unpredictable responses and you could be fined. Be careful when handling sharp objects. Yeah, that's on the day. And there's been protesting happening. I already saw some protesting that's happening in DC. So that's actually not shocking, but with that aspect there, that's really telling of the energies that are also at play at the exact same time. And that's applying as well. We also have Lilith. Lilith is in Libra right now, transit Lilith, squaring Mercury. So let's go look at that one. Oh, wait, no, I don't think they have asteroid or nodal transit placement things. No, they don't. Okay. Well, let's look at, I'll just look at it here. So yeah, it is making a squaring aspect. Not to mention, there's a lot of aspects happening to the United States vertex. The vertex point in the birth chart represents the point of fate and destiny, or so they say. And the vertex is in Cancer. It's at 22 degrees, which is very fascinating to me because that means that the vertex is in Cancer, but it's at the degree of its opposing sign, which is Capricorn, 22 degrees. And we do have, let's see, it does make well, no, there's no opposition to it, I guess. Not an exact opposition anyways. But I'm very curious because after we have the North Node in Pisces and South Node in Virgo, the next axis is going to be the North Node in Aquarius and the South Node in Leo. I believe that's the next one. So that means Leo will be in the South Node. And having Leo in the South Node, and it's like a nodal reverse for the US, basically. So we're going to be focusing on building back together our security, right? Because that's the second house. It's going to bring more attention to the second house themes and rebuilding what is lost. So restructuring things for the better, trying to find solutions. Yeah, it all mentions it in the skies. You can literally see the energy mapped out in the stars. It's quite fascinating. Not to mention, like, I'm just seeing the Chiron here, and it's Chiron and Aries collectively is at 19 degrees. And guess where the US natal Chiron is? It's at 20 degrees Aries. So in our fourth house of home, family, a lot of wounding, right? In our homes, in our story, a lot of that. We just need to heal that and recognize that we all work together. We are all the same. We're people that want to have a happy life. We want to work together. We don't want to hurt each other. We don't want to fight against each other. We all want to work for the same things. We all want to find happiness, right? So, well, this turned out to be longer than I anticipated, but that is the learning lesson for today on astrology and transits. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and until next time.